Minecraft is all elite, or at least that's what I got from last night's edition of Dynamite. We're going to be talking about all of that, plus we're also going to be talking about the wrestling. If you manage to get past all the moving bumblebees and motion graphics and exploding creepers, well, there was some wrestling as well. Let's talk about it all. I'm Ben Allison, you're watching Allison Analysis, and here are my 5 key findings from last night's episode of Dynamite. In at number 5, the Minecraft advertisements were way too prominent, but that is the future of this business. I mean, last night, Minecraft was just plastered all over the aprons, all over the barricade, the Titantron, the backstage screen. There was moving bumblebees just randomly on the screen at times throughout the night as well. It was just absolutely crazy. Now, as a kid, I was a Minecraft guy. I've turned on the lights green today just for this, right? So I personally found this all quite funny. I didn't actually have any issue with it, right? I mean, actually, it was a little too in your face, but in general, I found it quite funny. But if you're not a Minecraft fan, I mean, this must have annoyed the hell out of you. But I mean, the truth is, and it's unfortunate, but it is true, this is the future of professional wrestling. We are going to see more and more advertisements just like this. I mean, we've seen WWE do similar stuff to this since WrestleMania 39, I believe it was. And it has become kind of more regular since then as well. But I do think it's going to go from one extreme to another extreme. I do think we're going to see more and more in-your-face advertisements like we saw last night. At the end of the day, UFC and boxing had been doing advertisements on their ring mat, on the outside and all of that, and on the graphics before the fights for years and years and years. And it was something which I never really understood why WWE didn't do. And then finally, 2 years ago, they started doing it. Obviously, it sucks for fans. But from a business perspective, I'm going to be honest, I don't really understand why they didn't do it earlier. But, and this is the bottom line to my point, you do need to be careful with motion graphics, because the one thing which a few people are complaining about here is like the creepers exploding and stuff like that, and how that was distracting during the matches. And yeah, that's not good if it actually takes away from the match. A still graphic on the apron like they had all night long, I didn't really have an issue with. But the moving graphics and stuff like that, it takes away from your product. And if it makes somebody turn over to a different channel, well, that's no good, is it? And some people said it genuinely made them turn it off. So just tread lightly. In at number 4, the Moxley Swerve promo was the best thing that Jon Moxley has done in months. Admittedly, that's not a very high bar, as honestly, I've hated all of Jon Moxley's promos and segments recently, and it sucks because I'm a big fan of his, but this Death Rider stuff, it has just absolutely stunk up the shop. But last night, his promo with Swerve, well, it was excellent. Moxley's promo made Swerve feel like a huge deal, while also making it clear that he wanted to beat him. He is not going to give him a pass, even though he respects him. And honestly, Swerve came out of this segment feeling like an even bigger star than he walked into it as. And they did have a very short time frame to actually build up this rivalry, build up this feud. But in one segment here, they did a fantastic job at it. Honestly, it got me hyped for the actual match. Probably more hyped than I've actually been for any of these Moxley matches in quite a while. I have said it over and over and over again, and I hate to repeat myself, but I will say it once again, right? There are 2 guys in All Elite Wrestling who turn every feud they touch into gold, and those 2 guys are Hangman Adam Page and Swerve Strickland. So honestly, giving Swerve the win, giving him the title, I actually do think would be the move to do here. Fans clearly are not a fan of this storyline, and they clearly are a fan of Swerve. He should have had a longer title reign last time, but he didn't get that. And when he was used as champion, he often wasn't used in main event slots either, which was very weird. But I don't think they'll do it. In at number 3, Rated FTR should win the Trios Championships. There is not a championship belt in professional wrestling, which I forget about more often than I do with the Trio Championships in All Elite Wrestling. And the Death Rider's reign, I mean, it has been exactly that, completely unimportant. I have forgotten all about it. I forget the titles exist half of the time, and it's just not been that good, right? And they haven't been that good for quite a while. I can't remember the last reign I thought, well, this is a lot of fun. I actually can't. I don't even know if there's even been one reign I've thought that about. But hey, maybe Rated FTR could be the ones to break that streak and to make me care about these belts. After all, Cope and FTR, they are three big stars and they need something to do, and they would make these titles at least feel more important than they are right now. But here is the thing, they are teasing a Dax heel turn, and I imagine Cash is going to turn heel as well. I think that's the way it's going to go, but because of that, I can't actually see them winning the belts. So I guess we're going to be stuck in the Death Rider vortex for a little bit longer. But whatever the result is, they do need to do something to actually make these championships feel important, because otherwise, what's the point in having them? Me and Soul got into some big argument last night on Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast about whether or not they should introduce women's tag team championships in AEW. And I said I think they should. Obviously, they need to build a tag team division first. They shouldn't just bring them in out of nowhere. But I do think they need to be heading in that direction, because if the men have them, then the women should have them as well. But Soul's point was there were too many titles, and that is a point I can get behind. So honestly, maybe scrap these trios once unless you can make them feel important very soon. Now, before we get into the top 2 key findings, if you guys could like and subscribe, that would be massively appreciated. Here at Wrestling Republic, we create between 5 to 10 free videos every single week, and in addition to that, we have a live daily broadcast every single day at 8 p.m. UK, 4 p.m. Eastern in the United States of America, and 1 p.m. Pacific there as well. Thank you, guys. In at number 2, are cracks showing in the Hurt Syndicate already? So last night, MJF was about to accept MVP's offer to join the Hurt Syndicate, or at least that's how it came across to me, but Bobby Lashley grabbed the card out of his hand and he tore it up. And we later found out in a backstage segment that the reason that Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin weren't happy about it actually didn't necessarily have anything to do with MJF, but was just about the fact that MVP didn't consult them about it first. So I'm guessing now next week they'll ask MJF again, and I'm also guessing this time he's going to say no. But what is really interesting is the fact they are showing cracks in this relationship so early into this faction. I mean, honestly, it is too early in my opinion, and I'm guessing this is all going to lead to Cedric Alexander being the 4th man, and I am all for that, but I don't necessarily think this is the route you need to take to get there. I mean, the MJF stuff is fascinating, I like that, but showing cracks between MVP and Bobby Lashley, I'm not necessarily a fan of it this early into their run. In at number 1, All Elite Wrestling have done a brilliant job at making Megan Bayne feel like a big deal. Not only did Megan Bayne cleanly pin Toni Storm last night, but she did it after she accidentally hit her own partner. Toni Storm tried to take advantage and failed, and then Megan Bayne hit the F5. I mean, honestly, I am such a big Megan Bayne fan. But let's be real for a second. Just a few months ago, very few fans actually knew who Megan Bayne was. And just a few months later, she is main eventing Dynamite. In fact, she's winning main events of Dynamite. In fact, she's pinning the current champion in the main event of Dynamite. This is exactly how to build a star. Well done, All Elite Wrestling. Make sure you keep note of this because you have done a fantastic job with it. And honestly, they built Bayne so well that she could easily take a loss to Toni Storm and be absolutely fine, as long as afterwards they continue showing her on TV regularly and getting important wins regularly. Not just squash matches, but important wins as well. I still do think you could easily make an argument that Megan Bayne should dethrone Toni Storm. Toni Storm, I don't think, needs this championship, but at the same time, she's only just won it back as well. I don't know. I personally would be okay either way. I think whichever way you go could be justified very easily. But personally, what I would do is have Megan Bayne lose this match, and then for the next few months have multiple big feuds in AEW, right, against big competitors like Willow and, I don't know, Hikaru Shida as well, and beat every single one of them, and then have her versus Mercedes Moné maybe at All in Texas, and have Megan Bayne go over and win the TBS Championship. But overall, last night's Dynamite was a little bit of a strange one, and I don't say that in a bad way because it was enjoyable. There wasn't really much bad, apart from Minecraft stuff, at all on the show. But there was just not that much important stuff either. It did feel like a very filler episode, but an enjoyable one too. So I guess I'll say this was decent. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh on this because I know a lot of people liked it. but they just didn't feel like there was that much important stuff on the show, at least to me. But again, there wasn't bad stuff either. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on the episode down in the comments below, and I will see you guys in the next video. I hope you have a great couple of days. Peace.